Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, palettes, blush, highlight, bronzer, lip gloss, basically everything except pressed glitter, and today we are going to be talking about some of my favorite palettes for summer. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. Alright, so let's talk about these summertime palettes. I kind of divided them up into three categories. One was sort of just like bright colorful palettes. One was kind of those aqua blues and greens, because when I think summer, I think the beach. So I'm ready to hit the ocean. I'm ready to lay out in the sand. Sunburn, of course, because my ass is a ghost. And then the other category that I included was kind of those like soft neutral shades that I feel like would be really great for, you know, you come back in from the beach, you're kind of all hot and sticky, you grab a shower, maybe fall asleep after your shower wrapped up in your towel, wake up and your skin's all like sun scorched and kind of warm, and you're just feeling very calm and relaxed, but you're hungry, so you're ready to go to dinner. These would be the palettes you could put on for that moment, which I understand is a very specific moment. But yeah, let's talk through some of these. So the first one, of course, that I had to mention was the Wet n Wild Nautical Nonsense palette. This is a collab with SpongeBob, and I do have a video on my channel. I'll try to link, if I have videos, I may only have a couple of videos out of what I have here, but I'll try to link what I can up in the cards. I like this palette a lot. You do have a couple like nice little pops here. I love this very shimmery champagne shade. It is very, very high impact on the lid, so I really do appreciate that. Same with this blue here. I think it does really well. And I love that they didn't give you a black in this palette. You have navy, you have kind of a burgundy red, and you have a brown. I think all of three of those are great options for the other shades that they included in here to kind of round out and give depth to a look without having to just rely on a black. So I like that a lot. There are two like pressed glitter type shades in here, which my understanding is they are eye safe. They do feel a little bit more gritty to the touch, so just, you know, buyer beware with that. I'm not really sure, but they are not marked as not for use around the not intended for use around the immediate eye area. They're not marked as that. So use at your own risk, but I think this palette is really fun, so I had to include it in my summer themed palettes. The next one to talk about is the Makeup Maniac Strawberry Lemonade palette. I really like this one. It's a 9-pan palette, and it's like pinky, peachy, corally, yellowy kind of shades. I think they did a really nice job balancing the mattes and the shimmers. You've got some really nice vibrant kind of pops here, and then you've got these three shimmers to kind of finish off an eye look. I do agree that like these three shades are pretty similar when you look at them, but when you blend them onto the eye, I feel like they look different enough that you can make the looks look a little bit different. Although putting two of them next to each other, I'm not sure that you would get a truly distinct difference, but you may get a very subtle gradient. So I really like this palette. I think it's really fun for summertime, so I wanted to include it here. The next one to include is the Kaleidos Escape Pod palette. So this thing is enormous, but it's very colorful. I feel like it's got some kind of like beachy vibes in terms of, you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's like pink and lime green, or purple and lime green. I love these kind of purpley pinky shades here. I love the shimmers that they used in this palette. I think they're really pretty. And then if you wanted to do something a little bit softer, more calmed, like sedated kind of looks, you could use some of these browns here at the bottom to really kind of finish out a look. So I really enjoy this one. I think it would be great for summertime. Sugar Pill, Volume 2. This one is so much fun. So you've got these like beachy summery colors here. You've got this really pretty like blue shade here, and then you've got some more like calm down sedated type shades, and this you could use as a blush or just as an eyeshadow. I love the duochromatic flip on this one. It goes to kind of like a peachy to like a silvery blue kind of color. This reminds me of the Tan Lines palette from Jouer a lot, but this one I feel like is more workable. The colors are more intense, vibrant, easier to use, so I definitely would reach to this far before I ever reached for Jouer. And I actually decluttered the Jouer palette because I had this one and I like it so much better. Ow, except when it takes my hair. Alright, we can't talk about beachy, summery palettes without talking about all the blues, right? So I pulled some of my favorite blue eyeshadow palettes, and of course I had to mention High Tide. I have a video on this one, so I'll include it up in the cards, but I really like how this one is set up. It's got some really pretty kind of aqua blues, and then you've got kind of this blue-gray teal shade here that you can really complete a look with. This duochromatic shade is so pretty, oh my gosh. It's like a super dark, like burgundy, almost purple, and then flipping to like a teal. Like it looks so pretty on the lid. I love these other shades that they included. This is the only one that's like matte with sparkles, and there's no pressed glitters in this one, so definitely really enjoy this one for summer too. And it's small, so it'd be really travel friendly. The next one to talk about is the ABH Norvina. This is volume 2. I don't think I'll ever remember the volumes. I really want to get volume 5, you guys. I need an excuse to buy that one. But that's what this one looks like. It's definitely very beachy. It's got nice bright colors. It's definitely got lots of blues and greens. So I really, when I think about this palette, I think mostly about the blues and greens in this palette. And it does make me want to pull those together and make kind of these vibrant, summery, blue-green kind of looks. Next, let's talk about the Nomad Lago di Como palette, which is Lake Como, I believe, in Italian. And it looks like this. You've got some kind of goldeny yellow shades here. You've got a row of greens and a row of blues. This navy shade, I think, is the first palette that I picked up that really sparked my love for navy eyeshadow. Like, I died looking at this palette, and I was like, I need to get this palette in my life at some point. It went on sale. I snatched it up real quick, and I'm so happy with my purchase. I really enjoy this navy blue, but now the more that I see new palettes coming out, I feel like navy is a big palette color this year, so we're seeing a lot of different palettes that are incorporating it, and I just could not be more thrilled because I think navy is such a beautiful, beautiful color on people, and it's different from just pure black all the time. So I am so excited to have that one. And I couldn't forget the Nomad Teal palette, which I don't believe is in production anymore. I don't know that you can get it anymore, but it looks like this. You've definitely got kind of, the shade reminds me of coconuts, like just pure coconuts. And then you've got some blues, you've got some pinky corals, you've got some purples. I feel like this would be a great palette to take on a trip. You can get those like kind of subtle washes of color. You can add a little sparkle. You're good to go. So I really like this palette. I think it's very, very pretty. And I think the colors and the formulas for Nomad Cosmetics are so easy to work with. So if you're going to be traveling somewhere, you need something that you know is going to work really, really well, really easily for you. This is your girl. Another great palette option is the Ace Beaute Oceanic palette. This one I picked up, I think, this past year, and it looks like this. I love that it's not just like bright green and blue and that's it. Again, you have some really pretty, like you have this dark almost navy, and then you have kind of like a navy teal, so you have kind of two options. You can go with those deeper shades, but I love these kind of like grungy olivey shades that you can use. They definitely had a huge range with the greens, and then I really love the inclusion of these two shades here. I think these two shades make such a beautiful, cool toned, soft, like sparkly eye. I am obsessed. So this has great range. I think the colors definitely scream summer to me. Very happy to have it in my collection, so I wanted to show it to you guys today. And then we're almost done with the blue-green palettes. This one I brought out because, hello, like, this just looks like we're about to get on a yacht and just sail away to nowhere, unlimited cocktails, and I'm down for all of that. This is what the palette looks like inside. I love kind of the navy background that it has. It's definitely got some more neutrals than what I would normally go for, but I love this kind of like slate blue that they have over here. I love this kind of aqua teal color, the bright pink, the bright purple. I love those colors together. So for me, this definitely screams summer. And then the last one in the blue category that definitely starts kind of segueing us into those neutrals is the ColourPop Mar palette. So of course, Mar, I believe, means ocean in Spanish, and this palette looks like this. So it is predominantly a neutral palette, but it has some really nice pops of blue, and I think those blues work really well together with the other colors in this palette to make a really cohesive color story. You can do an all neutral color story, you can do just the blues, or you can mix them and match them. So I think this is a really nice complementary kind of beachy, summery palette. Now let's get into some neutrals. Clearly, I'm not a neutral person, but occasionally I like to like dip my toes into the neutrals just to kind of surprise my eyelids, you know? So I picked out a couple of things here to talk about. The first of which is actually a collection of single shadows from Cliona. This is a collection that comes all together, so that's why I speak about them cohesively, kind of like a palette. And I do store them in this Z palette. And I dropped this Z palette once, which is why half of them look like I took a bite out of. But this is the Woodlands bundle, and I feel like this gives me some summery vibes. You've got kind of some soft lilac-y shades here. You've got some nice greens here. These pops of orange are so like interesting and dynamic to me. I just really like them, and it gives me that kind of like beachy vibes, especially like the top row. So I keep these together, and I do like to reach for them more in the summertime. The next one to talk about is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. So this was actually a gift from my sweet mother, and she got this for me, and I was so excited because I was really looking at this palette, even though, like I said, I'm not somebody that wears neutrals all the time, but I did really like the selection of colors that they use, and this honey shade itself, this kind of like almost green leaning chartreuse leaning gold. Oh, it looks so pretty to me. I was like, I need this palette. I need to put that on my eyes. And I did, and I really like the look. These nice kind of soft browns I think look really pretty. You also have kind of these three shades here you could really make a nice eye look out of. Overall, I think this would be great again for those like nights where you're, you know, hungry, you're ready to go out and eat something, you want a little bit of makeup but you don't necessarily want to do like a full glam, a full beat. You could get away with something like this. Pop on some mascara, maybe a little liner, and you're done. Now, if you're somebody who likes options, this palette makes it into so many like ranking videos and favorites videos and things like that for good reason. It is such a great palette. It has an awesome color story. You've got your cool tones over here for sure, but then you've got like kind of some warmer, softer shades over here. The shimmers in here are bonkers. They're on the same quality as like a JD Glow or a Give Me Glow, which I don't say that loosely because those shades are really, really nice. So I am so happy with this palette. I think it is such a pretty palette, very versatile, and if you have the room in your bag to take, you know, for like a little beach weekend, take something like this. You won't be upset because you have so many options in here. You can really match it to whatever you're going to wear that night. I have two palettes for you if you're on the opposite end of that spectrum. You want like one or two colors, pop it on your lid and out the door you go. One is from NARS. I bought this right before they decided to not be cruelty free anymore and sell in China, and I haven't bought anything from NARS since, but I own this palette, so I'm not going to waste it. But this is the NARS, what is this called? Hot Nights Face Palette, and you've got 4 eyeshadows here that are kind of, they're this very soft, very buttery formula, very similar to the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzers, another brand that decided to sell in China, so they're no longer cruelty free. But I really like the formula of these. They're very soft in terms of color payoff as well. So the purple that you get here is not as intense on the lid as it is in the pan. It's definitely a lot softer of a formula, and then you've got kind of a highlighter here and a light bronzer here. I think this is a really nice palette. If you're somebody who just wants like 1 or 2 options, throw it in your bag and go, this would be a great choice, and I love the texture of it, so I keep it around. Another like small but mighty kind of palette that you could take with you would be this Too Faced Pineapple palette. This is the Sparkling Pineapple Eyeshadow palette, and it looks like this. It's definitely got some of those like Naked Honey kind of vibes to it. I'm sorry, my lights are like blinding it out, but I really like the shimmer formula. This duochrome is like a reddish to like a bright green. I don't know if you can kind of see it there. There you can definitely see where it's like that reddish brown and green. Like, I think that's awesome. I love duochrome shadows, obviously. Obviously. And I think this shade especially is so buttery and rich and metallic. Like, ooh, it's been a while since I played with that one, but you can see how like metallic and vibrant it is. I just really like this palette. It does still smell like pineapples even though it's like 3 years old. So that would be another great choice. These retail for $34. I've never paid full price for one of these. I would definitely recommend waiting until they become half price and then snag them. They go down to $17, and I think that's a much more reasonable price point for these palettes. And then two more palettes to talk about. This one was actually suggested by a good friend of mine. She was like, you can't talk about summer palettes without talking about Nomad Cartagena. And I was like, girl, you're right. So here she is, Nomad Cartagena palette. And she looks like this. I guess it's Cartagena Magica. Cartagena Magica would be the correct way to pronounce that, I believe. But I do really like this color story. It's definitely got those kind of warm sunburny type shades in here. I really love this kind of duochrome shade in here, this yellow. I love this gold in here. I think these shades here work so nicely to kind of blend out your look so that it looks very seamless in terms of transition onto your skin. So definitely would be a great summer palette. Ah, oh my god, we almost lost a couple palettes, you guys. And then the last palette to talk about is the Limoncello palette. I think I included this in my spring one too, and I was like, if I do a summer one, I'll probably include it there. And Past Heather was not wrong. I definitely want to include it everywhere. I think this palette is great. From the actual like design of the palette, number one, to the execution of the color story. I love this really pop of gold here. I love this kind of greenish olivey metallic. The blue and this cool tone brown I think are delightful, and I love this kind of like fiery orangey type shade. This is also like a duochrome type shade. When I did a video with this one, I thought I was going to use like this quad down here in the corner. As soon as I got the palette though, I was like, this shade, I need to use it. I need to put it everywhere. And I really enjoyed playing with this palette. I definitely need to play with it some more. It may be something I take with me on vacation this summer, just because I think it is such a fun summer palette. Alright, and with that being said, I definitely want to hear from you. Let me know what some of the palettes are this summer that you're going to be digging into, or some of the palettes that just remind you of summer. I would definitely be curious to hear about that as well. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!